In a separate claim of Russian meddling, a US government department recently sent a letter to tech giants warning of Russian efforts to manipulate the energy market via social media.
Congress has a responsibility to bring transparency to social media when their content affects important matters of American public policy. On October 23, 2017, it was reported that Instagram, a social media platform owned by Facebook, was utilized by Russian antagonists to influence the US energy market. This recent revelation confirms the committee's suspicion. Russia has exploited American social media platforms in an effort to influence the US energy market.
The letter was referring to alleged Russian support for US activists campaigning against the North Dakota pipeline. According to reports in the US media, the Russian government used bots on Instagram to encourage Native Americans to defend their land against the controversial project. In addition, the US government has stepped up its sanctions on Russia's energy sector over Moscow's alleged interference in Ukraine. The latest measures, unveiled on Tuesday by the US Treasury, put extra restrictions on firms working with Russian oil companies. They focus specifically on deep-water, Arctic and shale projects. Political writer Dan Glazebrook gave us his views on the story.
All of this clampdown over Russian involvement, social media, sanctions in the oil industry, it's all, I would argue, primarily geopolitical rather than solely economic. Well, there is another aspect to this, which is actually that the US campaign, or I would call it economic warfare against Russia, is also aimed at Europe as well. It's aimed at Europe as well. It's aimed at damaging the relationship between Russia and Europe, because the US knows that any kind of Russian-European rapprochement is potentially, it could be a challenge and a threat to its ongoing hegemony and global dominations. But I think really the major part of the economic war that's being waged against Russia is not so much the sanctions, but actually the oil price, which was really manipulated by the Saudis, who are US and British proxies, really, manipulated by them some years back. And the primary victims of that have been Russia, Iran and Venezuela.